We're about 24 days away from A-Day, but we're 29 days away from a big event where Coach Stallings is going to make an appearance right here in Tuscaloosa, and we're going to be talking about that. The big Thursday, it's the chip-in for the Rise School, and we're going to talk about the golf tournament as well. Chip-in for Rise 2018, a big reception, silent auction, and a great event, a great evening there at the North River Yacht Club. We'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the Tournament of Champions for 2018 with Coach Stallings. Coach, I hope you've had a great week, sir. Welcome into the game here in Tuscaloosa.
Ryan, and I really appreciate you mentioning that about the Rise program, because it's a absolutely fabulous program, and the money that's raised through the golf tournament, the chip-in, really helps provide things that the children wouldn't ordinarily have. So thank you for mentioning it.
Well, I want to continue to talk about it. Obviously, we talk about the community. We love to be able to feature you each and every week. You're a highlight of our week here, talking college football every Wednesday. But you talk about something that you've been behind many, many years, and we talk about the Rise School, and it's our chance to give a small back to you for being such a big part of our community here in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I appreciate it, and it's going to be another good tournament, and the chip-in is something that they've only started recently. I think they've done it, maybe this is second year, but it's been successful, and it'll have several items that they can be auctioned off or bought, and it'll be a good evening. That's the night before the golf tournament. That's on a Thursday night, and the golf tournament starts on Friday.
That's right, and it's 6 o'clock until 8:30. You can go to the riseschool.ua.edu. Tickets are simply only $30, $50 for a couple, North River Yacht Club, and you can buy them there at the Rise Center or at the door. We'll talk more about that here with Coach Stallings as we continue throughout the weeks, but about 29 days away, so folks be thinking about that. Coach, we have been talking today about Steve Spurrier trying to get back into coaching. Now, this is a startup professional league down in Orlando that will be starting next winter, and we were looking at the age of 72. Coach, let me ask you about the coaching itch. When you get out of coaching and you want to get back into it like Steve Spurrier, somebody that you know a lot about.
Well, first of all, I think he'll do an excellent job in that league. He'll give us some credibility to it, and he's won national championships, and he's a Heisman Award winner himself, and so 72 is relatively young. I'm 83, and so it's a difference in 72 and 83, I'll assure you. And I'd love to see him get back into the league, and he'll make a great contribution to that league. No question in my mind about that.
Coach, when you step away from the game, how long did it take you to remove the thought that you wanted to get back into coaching? You step away from Alabama. How long did it take, for you to sink in that I'm not going back into coaching, that wanted to get back on that field?
Well, if I wanted to stay in coaching, I'd have stayed at Alabama. I wanted to spend a little bit more time with Johnny, and Rank has its privilege, and the athletic director at the time and the president at the time, and I didn't see eye to eye, so it was just time for me to step aside. And I'd had a good career. I've coached pro ball for 18 years and college ball for 29 or something, and somewhere along the line you've got to step aside, and I had a farm to go to and Johnny to spend some time with, so I was not looking to get another coaching job.
Coach, but can I ask, did you ever think about getting back in? I mean, did you ever think about maybe going back into coaching? If somebody had approached me and the situation been right, but after you've coached at Alabama, everything's sort of downhill after that, as far as I'm concerned. A lot of youngsters need some help, but you've been in it as long as I did, and I went to work every morning at 4 o'clock for 40 years, and so I was a little tired, really. And but I did not pursue another job at all. Coach, here in Tuscaloosa, we're talking about future games. And this week, the Tuscaloosa News broke a story that Alabama's talking to Texas, Notre Dame, and USC in future matchups, possibly a home-and-home. What was your role with the athletic director in scheduling future non-conference games?
I had no say-so about it whatsoever. Hootie Ingram was the athletic director, and he might have asked me what my opinion was, but my job was to coach the team. It's his job to provide the teams that we played against, and I had an excellent relationship with Hootie. Before that, Backrath, I'm not sure that we ever even discussed the game, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
But I really think that teams like Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and so forth need to play some tough preseason games and not just take 4 gimmies and to try to become bowl eligible. Those teams are competing for the national championship, and people like to see them play. And if you're going to buy a ticket, you'd a whole lot rather see Alabama play Southern Cal than Alabama play Louisiana Tech.
Well, Coach Saban has told us in the past that it's very difficult to go out. When you call somebody up and you say, hey, you want to play Alabama? They're like, no, thanks. No, it's okay. You guys call somebody else. We're not, because these bigger teams don't want to take a loss early in the schedule. That seems to be an ongoing problem here, trying to find opponents.
Yeah, I can see I can see that, I guess, but I think it would be a pleasure to play against Alabama or some of those good teams. When I was coaching at Texas A&M, for example, I never had an easy preseason game, ever. Well, I had one in 7 years. Yet 1 year we played LSU in Baton Rouge, Ohio State in Columbus, University of Michigan, and Ann Arbor. That was my 3 preseason games. And every year we played 3 tough preseason games, and I don't know who. I guess the athletic director made those schedules, but the entire time I just had one what I'd consider easy preseason game. So I like to see these teams play tough teams.
Coach, have you had a chance to talk with Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M yet?
Yeah, just briefly.
Okay.
I think that they've hired the right man, and he seems to be knowledgeable, especially on the offensive side of the ball. He was an outstanding quarterback, and he's coached for some good people, and he's had a national championship team, and his cupboard is not bare. He's got some good players, and I would say by looking at their schedule that probably conservative, they'll win 7-8 games, and I think that'll be an excellent start for them. And anything above that will be a real plus.
Well, obviously the ties with Jimbo Fisher and Coach Saban, he's part of the Coach Saban coaching tree, and you could see some similarities in the way that he organizes his program compared to Coach Saban here in Tuscaloosa.
Well, nobody recruits like Alabama does, and I think it's been 100-something games since Alabama's been an underdog. So when you got the best players and you're extremely well coached, that's a tough combination to beat.
There's no doubt about it. Coach, let's take some phone calls, and we'll go to the first guy.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I read where Alabama's having another day for some of the college players. I didn't know they had more than one pro day.
Well, Coach, I must tell you, when I woke up and read the news, it was Dallas. The Cowboys plane is here at the Tuscaloosa Regional Airport. I know it was when I came by. The big Cowboy plane, and Coach Jason Garrett is here with some of this coaching staff. They're actually on campus today going through another evaluation mode of evaluating players. It's kind of like a personalized attention here.
Now, are they evaluating all the guys that's already been evaluated, or are they just picking out individuals to look at?
I don't know the specifics there, but it was more than just one player. It was multiple players that were going through, and it was kind of unique. I'd never really noticed that happens, but it was being reported out of Dallas earlier today. I've read in the Dallas News that Coach Garrett was going to be there, and that just sort of surprised me because I thought they'd already had their pro day. So I guess that they're bringing in some guys that getting a second look or something like that. Well, and right now, according to some of these projections, which I don't really know, what they mean, Alabama's got a big linebacker that Dallas is looking for. They need linebackers. Rashaan Evans, which was a super player here at the University of Alabama, but looks like Alabama's going to have at least 4, possibly 5 first-round talents coming up in the NFL draft.
Man. Well, they've got good players, and they lost some good players, but you just watch them. They'll be good this year, too.
Yeah, and to add to that, Coach, before I take a phone call, they had 14 guys from the University of Alabama, 14 players at the NFL Combine. 14 players from Alabama at the NFL Combine. That's a pretty good story within itself right there.
It really is, but I'm telling you one better than that. Back when I was playing Breckenridge, you played both ways, offensively and defensively. They had 12 players on their team that got college scholarships, and that's when you played off. They had a backup that got a college scholarship.
Wow. That's unique. That was that high school, Coach? High school football?
Yeah, Breckenridge, Texas. My old roommate. In fact, Jerry Tubbs played at Breckenridge. He coached for the Cowboys for a while, and Bobby Keith. And anyway, they had 12 guys that got college scholarships off of that football team.
Wow. But hey, football in Texas, high school football, it's like small college ball out there when you look at the high school football and the quality out there.
Well, they play well, and they support the teams, and it's fun to watch a good high school game in Texas. It's good to watch a good high school game in Alabama. They play good high school in Alabama too.
There is no doubt about it. Let's go to Red. Red, you're on with Coach Stallings. Good afternoon, Red.
Coach, I've been sitting here laughing my butt off about something you just said earlier.
What's that, Red?
I loved it when you said, after coaching at Alabama, anything else is pretty much downhill.
I loved it, too.
Boy, if that ain't a promo for Ryan, I don't know what is.
Well, that's sort of telling it the way it is.
Yes, sir. That's why we love you, Coach. You give us so many nuggets. I can't believe you and Coach Bryant were blood kin somewhere down the line with these coaches y'all come up with.
No, let me tell you, they're just one Coach Bryant. The rest of us we were just happy to be a little part of his career, and I had the privilege of playing for him and also coaching for him, and what a joy that was.
Well, if anybody comes close to being a spitting image, it'd be you, Coach.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you saying that, but I'll assure you that there's no splitting image of Coach Bryant. They're just one of him.
I heard that. Well, Coach, I don't have a football question today. With Easter coming up Sunday, I was wondering if you could share a story with us concerning John Mark and Easter.
Now, say that again, Red.
Could you share a story with us about John Mark and his favorite Easter?
Well, we always had an Easter egg hunt for my children and grandchildren. In fact, we still do. And Johnny was always a big part of that. I can see him with his basket, and the girls make sure that he filled his up. But he was always a big part of that Easter egg hunt that the children took part in. But he was a big part of everything that we did. And I've said this before. Johnny loved to go to church, and every Saturday night he'd get out his Bible. Couldn't read a word, but he had his Bible, and he got $1. He wanted to put $1 in the plate, so he loved going to church.
Such a blessing, Coach. Such a blessing. Well, Coach,
yeah, it really was,
you, sir. And you tell Miss Ruth Ann hello. And hey, are you going to have the grandkids over for Easter?
Yeah, they go. Well, I don't know whether they'll all be there, but we'll have a bunch.
Well, Coach, y'all have a blessed Easter, and you always make my day talking to you, sir. And God bless you.
Thank you, Red.
Okay, good talk to you, Red, and hope you're feeling well.
Hey, Coach, how many grandkids do you have?
Got 10.
Okay. That's
7 granddaughters and 3 grandsons, and one grandson is obviously playing at Clemson, and one grandson majored in Arabic. He's very fluent in Arabic, and that says a little something. He got his degree from Texas A&M, and the other grandson works for Lil Beyond.
Okay. Very, very, very cool. Arabic, a very tough language to be able to study. He's mastered that. Let's go to JK. JK, you're on with Coach Stallings.
Give me the good news, Coach.
Hey, JK. How you, my friend? Good news here. We got 2 inches of rain on my garden, so that makes me feel better.
Well, we've had a beautiful day in Tuscaloosa, about 78 degrees, and it's been sun shining, and we needed some of that here today. But rains are rough. Your rains are going to be in Alabama tonight.
Yeah, they about 24 hours after we get them here in Paris, it comes through Tuscaloosa.
Coach, how's your rehab going?
Rehab is going pretty good. I do it 3 days a week, about an hour at a time. It's walking on the treadmill and doing some bicycling and things like that. So, my old right leg is sort of numb, and it's hard for me to walk from time to time. But I think the rehab helps me, and I know it helps my heart.
Well, it might wake that right leg up a little bit, but I want to make sure you're staying consistent with that.
Yeah,
Coach,
I appreciate that.
When you started at Texas A&M, you weighed about 165 pounds, didn't you?
Yeah, when I was a senior, I think I weighed 168. I played both ways and played on all the kicking teams, and I was captain of the team, weighed 168.
And I believe about the biggest lineman you had was 215 pounds, wasn't it?
No, well, we had two guys on the team that weighed over 200 pounds. John David Crow, the running back, was one of them, and a man by the name of Powell, Jack Powell, he weighed about 210 or 215. That's the only two people on the entire team that weighed over 200.
Coach, in those days, what were the injuries like? It seems like, Alabama went through a plague of injuries last year during the season. First day of spring practice, one of our quarterbacks gets injured. Without the modern technology and orthopedic geniuses of today, what were the injuries like back in those days you were playing at 165 pounds?
Well, we didn't have a whole lot of injuries. You had to play on Saturday, so if you got injured, you got to get well before game time. We always had good trainers and good doctors, but I can't remember many guys being out for an extended period of time because of an injury. Maybe we didn't hit anybody hard enough. I don't know, but we didn't have near the injuries that they do now.
Do you think that's because the speed of the game and the size of the game has
I definitely think the speed and size. You have linebackers now that'll weigh 265 and 270. You have running backs that'll weigh 240 and 245, and those guys run fast, and somebody's trying to make contact with them is running fast. Injuries is going to happen, and I think that's one of the reasons that we didn't have many injuries, because first of all, we were in excellent shape and played all the time, and we didn't have the size of the guys that's there now.
I got you, Coach. Well, that's all I got for you today, Coach. Of course, it's always a blessing to talk to you. Stay on your rehab. I believe that's going to wake that right leg up a little bit for you.
I sure hope so. And thanks for calling, KJ.
Yes, sir. Talk to you next week, I hope.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, JK. Hey, Coach, go back to John David Crow there for just a couple of minutes. Heisman Trophy winner at Texas A&M. You were part of that team. Describe him as a player, because we have some unique ties. His Heisman Trophy is here at the Bryant Museum, or one of the Heisman Trophies is here at the Bryant Museum here in Tuscaloosa.
And then he played defensive safety and as a running back, and he was equally as good defensively as he was offensively. I mean, he was just a real football player. He's from Louisiana, and best I remember, he was married is when he came to Texas A&M, and one of the few married players that we had. But he was just blessed with talent and size and toughness, and he was an outstanding football player. Well, he won the Heisman, and I think he's the only Heisman winner Coach Brown ever had.
Absolutely, and it's kind of unique. You walk in to the Bryant Museum, and there sits the Heisman Trophy there at the Bryant Museum. That place is awesome. If you ever go in there and you just recall some of the great memories of the University of Alabama, that place is really awesome, the Bryant Museum.
Yeah, that people talk about having a Hall of Fame and things like that, but none will match Alabama's Hall of Fame. Is outstanding, and of course the Bryant Center and the Bryant Museum there is just second to none.
Let's go a couple of more phone calls. We've got one line available, 205-342-9904. Ellis, you've been waiting a while. You're on with Coach Stallings. Good afternoon, Ellis.
How you doing, Coach Stallings?
Ellis, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Your health is doing okay and everything.
I can't complain at all. I'm ahead of the hounds, and I'm on the right side of the dirt, and I've been blessed, to tell you the truth.
Good deal. Glad to hear that.
You know, anytime you have 2 strokes and a heart attack and you're still going, well, you're a blessed individual.
Yes, sir. He's got you here for something. The Lord above has.
That's right. I'm blessed.
I was going to ask about how your. I heard you said you had 2 inches of rain on your garden. I was going to ask you about your garden, how it's doing.
I've got everything planted except tomatoes and okra. I've got my corn and peas and they in, and my onions are in, and I still have not planted my peppers. I've got quite a few different peppers that I'll plant, but the main thing I've got to do, plan on doing it this Saturday or this Friday, and that's planting my tomatoes.
Oh yeah, you got to get them tomatoes planted.
Yeah. Well,
they're a whole lot better than the store-bought ones.
Oh, no comparison. And I've had as many as 50 plants, but I think I'm going to back it up this time to about 25 or 30 plants.
That'll still be a lot of tomatoes. But,
but I love tomatoes, and I love tomatoes and onions, and those are the 2 things. If I could just grow 2 things in the garden, that's what it'd be: tomatoes and onions.
Now, Coach, does Miss Ruth Ann can? I mean, how do you preserve those? Or maybe with 10 grandkids, they'll take a few, huh?
Well, and then people that come by and visit, and we take a lot of them to church and just spread them out and give them to people that need them and can enjoy them, and the old ladies used to wait until church was over, and then they'd get them. Now they get them before church. Make sure they get
before
some.
Church and set them with them when they sat down.
Yeah. But that's fun, knowing.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that makes it fun to be able to give somebody some fresh tomatoes and onions that they don't ordinarily have.
Yes, sir. But that's the questions I had, Coach, and I hope you have a blessed rest of the week, and I hope you have a good Easter with all your family.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, and it's always good to have you on the show. Thank you, KJ.
And Coach, I'll give you a little spring football update here in Tuscaloosa. You know, last Wednesday we were talking about Nick Saban's quarterback breaking his finger. Well, Coach, he's already back at practice here in Tuscaloosa throwing the football. So they heal a little faster, I guess, with all this new medical technology. He had surgery last Tuesday night. He's already back on the field handing off and throwing the football at practice.
Well, he doesn't want to start too early because he's going to be a good one. And that thing's in a cast. He doesn't need to get it knocked around. I know when I was playing, I got stepped on, and a cleat stepped on my fingernail. And I believe that thing hurt. Somebody could come within 5 feet of it and it hurt. So if he's got a broken hand, he needs to take care of it.
Coach, did you protect your quarterbacks a certain way? Did you allow them to get hit, or did you put that no contact jersey in?
We tried to, blow the whistle. Always had an official at practice, and we try to blow the whistle. And players got common sense. They're not going to tee off on a quarterback, especially if he's one of your starting quarterbacks. And so just common sense helped as much as anything.
Now, was that official Mr. Eddie Conyers?
Yeah. Oh, wait, is he still officiating the practices?
Yes, sir. He's like just a figure out there. You cannot go to practice without seeing Mr. Eddie Conyers.
I told Eddie Conyers, I said, Eddie, we had you out there every day, and we were penalized more than anybody in the Southeastern Conference. So obviously you didn't do a very good job calling the penalties. But no, seriously, I'm very fond of Eddie, and if you ever have a chance to hear him speak, he's an excellent speaker and got lots of tales, and he's a wonderful person.
Yeah, and I'll give you a funny story, Coach. The players that are injured, Coach Saban makes them wear a different colored jersey where they don't get an extra contact. Well, Eddie one time it's been about a year or so ago, he was suffering from an injury, and Coach Saban created a jersey for him out on the officials where he could wear a no-contact jersey. So that was kind of a fun little story with Coach Eddie Conyers.
Well, Eddie's been around for a long time, and he's one of the reasons really that we didn't get as many penalties as some people did, because Eddie would correct the player, wouldn't stop the practice, but he would correct the player and tell him, especially in the offensive line where there's a lot of holding going on.
Well, Coach, one more time, I know we talked about this at the opening, but let me remind people once again, Chip In for Rise coming up in about 29 days. It's going to be on a Thursday evening. It's the day before we talk about the Tournament of Champions, which is going to be April the 26th and 27th. On the Thursday evening, 6 until 8:30 at North River, it's going to be Chip In for Rise, $30 for a single, $50 for a couple. It's coming up 6 o'clock, and you can find more information. Tickets are sold directly there at the Rise Center and also at the door. So if you're not able to get by the Rise School, you can actually get the tickets at the door, and that's going to be the College of Human Environmental Sciences going to be putting on the Rise tournament, and Coach Stallings is going to make the appearance right here. Coach, always appreciate you for being a part of the show, and I hope you have a great Easter weekend. I'll talk to you next week, sir.
Same to you, and have a good Easter, my friend.